Welcome one, welcome all to the Tortillas and Takes podcast. You are on once again with your boy, Albie Shore, and it is a fantastic, great, stupendous time to be a Red Raider, to be a Matador, to be anything that you called yourselves while attending Texas Tech University, while cheering for Texas Tech University, while supporting Texas Tech University, whether that is in spirit, financially, buying a t-shirt. I know we don't do that as much as our brethren down in Austin, but we still do it sometimes. That's okay. We're all in this together, as Troy Bolton once said. And today is the day on we're recording this on Monday, so on Victory Monday, where we can say we finally did it. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are finally Big 12 champions. It's been a long time coming since 1996 for us to be able to say that we are Big 12 champions. It's been an even longer time coming since the early 90s for us to say that we were conference champions. Even longer time coming since the 50s for us to say that we are outright conference champions. But we're finally here, everybody. It feels incredible. It feels so great. And to talk about what we were all able to witness along with me, we have the people's champ himself, Jeremy Gillen. What's up, Jeremy?
Boy, I cannot explain. The excitement. I mean, truly, it seems almost surreal to get to this point where, as Texas Tech fans, we are usually used to just one more thing and we'll get there, or just almost there. You missed it by that much. That's what Texas Tech has felt like for my entire fandom, and for us to get to a point where now it's, oh no, we're at the top. We are at the top. We are at the top of the table. We did our job. We won our games. And now, I was joking with some friends on Selection Sunday. It's like, it's kind of crazy to go from, last year thinking man, is a conference championship really viable? Is it really possible? To in Selection Sunday, I'm thinking, I really don't, nothing they're going to say matters because we're definitely fourth or third. So I'm not stressing. Is what they say. So a tremendous time to be alive. And now we have to wait a month pretty much until we get to play again, which is kind of bittersweet, but we'll get a lot of good football between now and then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's just, I just want to bask in it, dude. Earlier in the season, a very running joke in the offseason is that, all this money spent just to go 8-5, all this money spent just to go, win 7 games, or Texas Tech talking tough, even though they haven't won a championship game since the Eisenhower administration. It's actually one of my favorite jokes of the season. It was a good joke, but I was like, man, I can't wait for these jokes to be over. And we all knew one of these days it was going to happen. We all knew. Eventually, the question was, would I be in my teens for it? Admittedly, at the time, I thought I'd be maybe 18 when we won our first Big 12 championship.
Right. It was going to be the first year I was in college, of course.
Yeah, of course. What was it going to be in my 20s, in my 30s? Was I going to be 95 still waiting for it to happen? But I knew it was going to happen one of these days. And, mid-30s, I'll take it. I will take it. It just feels that much sweeter to be able, and a benefit of that is that I can afford to go to the game.
That's right.
This was 10 years ago. I would not be able to afford to go to the game. Be like, well, my support is from right here. Exactly right. And Jeremy, your thing wasn't affordability. It was being a caring and loving husband and future father. So anytime, let me tell you something. Whenever your kid wants to talk back to you, you better listen here, boy and or girl. Okay, you don't know what I gave up for you.
For you, that's exactly right.
You got to bring that up. You want to be over here crying, or you got a C on your report card. You want to know what I gave up for you?
Straight to the grades.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's right. It's African in me. I don't have a choice.
Right.
So I was able to go to the game in Arlington. Met up with other pod host. Joe Lopez was out there with us as well. We just had an absolutely amazing time out there. Jeremy hooked it up with his Mormon friend who is a Tech grad.
Yeah, so I saw you guys on TV. How'd you make that connection? Because I didn't realize that you guys would be right next to each other, which was really funny. But when you came on TV, I was like, wait, they're literally sitting right next to each other.
I said, hi, I'm Albert. He said, hey, I'm Austin. And then that's how they just started race from there. It was actually
about funny. The podcast though. Don't be humble now. Albert was out here promoting the podcast.
I try. Well, also because so for those that don't know Jeremy or myself, my wife thinks that we don't do enough to promote the podcast. So she's really been on my case about being like, hey, everyone should know you. So if anyone doesn't know us, let them know. Let them know we're here. But overall, I did get Jeremy's friend Austin is interesting because they're from him and the friend that he brought.
His brother
he didn't say it was his brother. He's a big old guy. They do not look anything alike.
Yeah, I made the same comment. Are you sure?
Well, yeah.
This guy's D1. You
they may not be.
You're on the math. You're on the math decathlon.
Math decathlon. That's funny. So they're from Utah. Austin goes to Tech, but I believe it did BYU undergrad. I think is what he told me.
Utah State.
No, actually, both did Utah State. You're right. Both of them went to Utah State undergrad. He was Texas Tech grad school, and his brother, I guess, apparently, huge Tech fan. He was just like, man, I just vibe with y'all. I just like y'all. And they're decked out listening. And his brother, I commend his brother because he doesn't go to Tech. He's just a fan. Knows the fight song, knows the Matador song, knows every chant, every cheer, knew it all. He's like, I'm locked in. And it's almost like he's like, you know what? I may be new to this fandom, but I feel the past 50 years of pain in a short amount of time. So but everybody it was just a great time. And I will say there were some, it's the head of the BYU Alumni Association in Dallas-Fort Worth. I was on a podcast a few days ago, and he was like, hey, we have 6,000 alumni living around Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay. We have members of Latter-day Saints all over the place. We have BYU fans all over the place. I believe it's going to be almost 50-50 in the stadium. That's what he said. A lot of BYU fans were, maybe not as optimistic as he was, but they were like, yeah, 60-40. We're everywhere. And let me tell you something. I make a lot of jokes about fan bases. BYU is not one of them. I will not make a joke about BYU fans. They are everywhere. They travel everywhere. A buddy of mine, when we used to have Texas in the conference, and I used to go to Tech versus Texas games in Austin, he said, hey, man, y'all really travel well. This is the second most people we saw at your stadium because BYU had more. Right, like the BYU fans, they travel, and they don't just travel; they're everywhere. So it's actually less about them traveling; it's just like they're everywhere. It was 80-20 Texas Tech fans in that stadium, a good 80-20. That was a Tech home game, right? Even more than I thought. My prediction was 70-30, and I thought I was being a little bit more optimistic towards Tech. We showed up and showed out. When I looked up, and I was even the upper bowls all red. Lower bowl, most of the lower bowl, red, right? You saw the blue contingent, but man, we were there. We were loud. We were proud. It definitely was a lot. It made me proud to be a Red Raider just because of how we were there. And yeah, no, it was great. Everybody, I actually met up with a bunch of friends that I haven't seen since Tech, right? And so it's just every year, it's almost like every class represented. If you graduated Texas Tech in 1952, you were there. If you graduated Tech in 1969, you were there. If you graduated Tech in 2013, you were there, right? Like all different eras and generations and inklings of Tech, race, creed, age, didn't matter. We were all there, just wanting to see a Texas Tech victory. And it felt like, again, it was a home game. We apparently broke the record for most ever at any conference championship game. And if you take away the BYU contingent, Tech alone would have still broken probably the Big 12 record of that. It was a lot of Raider red in there. So Jeremy, let's talk about the game a little bit. All right, let's talk about the game itself. So Texas Tech plays BYU, right? And the game itself, Tech gets the ball first, and you know what, Jeremy? Quick, or not a quick. We drive a little bit. But unfortunately, we get to right past the right past the midfield, and offense stumbles, kind of gets stopped. We end up having to punt it away. We're at the 10-yard line. I'm loud. I'm yelling. He's right. Bear Bachmeier's butt is right in my face. Pause. He's like right there. I'm like, I'm a yell. They're gonna feel us. And they go 90 yards to a touchdown.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that BYU first drive?
There was, in the back up. We did our pre-pod. We did our preview pod, and we said, really schematically, there's nothing different about this game. BYU is just coming into it with a little bit more aggression, a little bit more vigor, because like we've seen them, they beat us. We want that get back, right? And for them to have as efficient as a first drive as they did, I thought, oh no, like I think BYU might have figured it out in the past couple of weeks and have been like planning for this moment. And, it was kind of all coming together for them. So for me, I thought we're going to really have to pick it up, because what bothered me so much about that drive was just the efficiency of the entire team. Really, it was nothing crazy. It was just they kept getting the first downs. They kept wearing down, and for me, it felt like our defense was maybe worn out before we got started. So the first drive for me was a little bit disappointing. I was not expecting, obviously, to blank BYU. So when they got that their first touchdown, I thought, this is going to be a good one. It'll be a good one. Thank goodness it'll be a good one.
So you were a little bit more worried after the first drive.
Well, I mean, yes. In the manner of that it went so easily for them. Because remember, alternatively, and I won't bury the lead. The parallel of this game was nearly reverse, because in the first game, it took BYU until like the fourth quarter to get a touchdown. Whereas in this game, their touchdown was pretty much in the first quarter.
So my worry when it came to this game, ahead of time, I was pretty positive we were going to win, but I thought it'd be a little bit closer than it was last go around. And so my worry was probably at like a 3. After that first drive, it went down to a 2.
It went down to a 2. This was after you hit after you shotgunned the mud. I can't even think of a beer. Bud Light.
First of all, it was a Topo Chico margarita. First off.
What? Al went bougie for these.
I'm gonna lie, those are delicious. I'm not gonna lie, they're much better than I thought they were. I don't think I've ever had one. They were much better than I thought they'd be. Shotgun because you have to drink before you get in. So the shotgun Topo Chico margarita, and I was like,
this ain't so bad.
Yeah. I want another.
It wasn't like the what were you in Faith? What was Faith drinking? It wasn't like the do you remember what I'm talking about? At
AV
God.
Mays,
God, whatever that was. It was like, this ain't so bad. No, the sip.
Yeah.
Let's go and throw this away.
Because it was like spiked something. And
Mountain Dew.
Oh, it was Mountain Dew. Yeah.
That was so I wouldn't even try, people. I wouldn't even try.
Now my wife she took a drink. She was like, "Oh, okay," because my wife didn't drink beer. She didn't drink beer. Yeah. She's also not a huge fan of seltzers. She's a cider girl. She likes ciders and everything like that. But she was like, she can do seltzers. So she's like, let me try the Mountain Dew one. Took a sip. She was like, oh, okay, maybe. And then took another sip and was like, okay. And then it was there for like 30 more minutes. I was like, you want me to just throw it away? She's like, oh my God, yes. please get this away from me. But anyways, so I'll tell you why my worry went down. This was a 10-play drive. It included a nice pass over the middle to Chance Roberts from Bachmeier. It included Bachmeier running right up the middle and needing to be tackled by both Jared Rodriguez and Ben Roberts because, it included them going 90 yards all the way there, right? You know what else it included, Jeremy? 4 trick plays. including the touchdown. The touchdown was wildcat, fake toss to Bachmeier run in. Right? If you count that, that's 4 trick plays attempts. 4 on the first drive. So when I'm watching this, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, y'all put out the entire playbook in one drive. You're absolutely right. They had to be aggressive. They knew it. They had to do it. But I'm watching that drive and I'm like, guys, there are 4 quarters. I said it to your friend Austin and also my friends that were there too. I'm like, this would be amazing if there wasn't 3 more quarters to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if this was a game of just 15 minutes, then man, I'd be terrified. Unfortunately for BYU, there are 3 more quarters to play. And actually, we ended up kicking a field goal for the first play of the second quarter. But yeah, if there wasn't 3 more quarters to play, man, I'd be terrified. But there was, and when that touchdown drive ended, all I could think to myself was that they attempted 4 trick plays. Most of them worked, but you can't do trick plays all game. Mm-hmm. When Boise State upset Oklahoma, you know how many trick plays they did, Jeremy? 2. They did 2. They did the 1 at the end of that regulation, and the 1 in overtime. That was it. BYU did 4 in 1 drive. You simply don't practice that many trick plays. And so that's the only way. And mind you, in that same drive, right, there were 3 third downs. So, yeah, on one hand, you're like, we try to stop the third down. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, they're just going to do trick plays every single time. I mean, they can't. So I actually was less worried after that drive. Because
I wonder what the thought process behind that was, because I didn't recognize. So while the game was going on, I had to cook for an event I had going on that evening. So I was up and down, eyes up and down all the time. I didn't realize that they had done so many trick plays on the what is the thought process behind that, you think? Like letting it all hang out in that first drive so that what?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of that aggression you were talking about. Like, we're going to stick it to them. We're going to score, right? Get them on their heels early. I think on the mindset, the only mindset I can think of is that your Texas Tech has rarely been down this season.
Yeah,
rarely. So the best way to beat them is do whatever it takes to get the lead early, put them on their heels, and let's see how they respond. And unfortunately for BYU, we responded. That's the only thing I can think of is that they just went all or nothing for that first drive to get us on our heels, because to me, that's not how you win a football game. That's how you win a drive. Congrats, but you can't win a football game that way. Yeah. You gotta if you can't beat. I mean, use the Boise State Oklahoma example again. Boise State, at the end of the day, we all remember the trick plays. We remember the Statue of Liberty, right? We remember the things that they did, the lateral, but at the end of the day, for that to even have worked, Boise State had to have beat Oklahoma throughout the game. They had to have scored touchdowns beforehand. They had to have beat them straight up playing smash mouth football. All the trick plays that you remember in your psyche that has won teams games, teams had to be in position to do it, right? Like we talk about the Crabtree catch all the time. What people forget about the Crabtree catch is Texas Tech was down by 1 point at the time. We were going back. Well, actually, we had a bigger lead against Texas earlier in that game. But to put us in position for, and that wasn't a trick play, but to put us in position for the Crabtree catch, we had to be in position to potentially win the game to start off with, right? So when you do, like, no team has won a full game just doing trick plays or surprising another team, right? And so that's my thing is that I think BYU thought we're going to punch them in the mouth first and see how they respond. But the problem is that if I'm Joey McGuire, I'm like, well, you didn't really punch us in the mouth. You gave us light jabs on the nose, expecting us to bleed. You know, and so now that's about it. Like now, now my nose is bloody, but I'm not hurting. I'm not hurting. I just have oh man, you tapped me on the nose there. Now let me punch your lights out, and that's what ended up happening there in the second quarter.
Yeah, just a whole reversal, and I think that's exactly right. Having kind of a wake up moment, and I remember I put that old Cam Newton gif, probably one of the best gifs that he's got, and you're like, boy, I hope that's how Baron Wharton was on the sidelines there, and I think he sure was, because truthfully, it felt as though the game plan started to click. And I think that there was definitely that Mac Leftwich definitely planned for something in this game. Let me give some flowers to Mac Leftwich here, because he's had in the past 5 games, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, in the past 5 games, he has been able to effectively plan for opposing defenses, not only opposing defenses' base defense that they run, but like for a team like BYU that oftentimes switches defensively and likes to blitz randomly. They don't have a lot of at least on paper, they don't have a lot of symmetrical blitzing. Like, it's not like, oh, it's 3rd and whatever, so we're gonna blitz. It's like, okay, sometimes it's 3rd whatever, maybe we'll blitz, maybe we'll not. But Mac Leftwich has done a really good job down the stretch here. We criticized him appropriately early for maybe too conservative of plays, or like really not opening the playbooks. Like, what are we doing? Now we're getting a lot more creative play calling later down the way that has been immeasurably more efficient against teams that we played, especially, and some people may not know this, but in the red zone. And I think that, starting in that second quarter, and also having some figures come up that we criticize as well, Cole Eakin playing big in this game. 7 was the number BYU saw first, and it's the last number they saw the rest of the game.
So I will say, giving Mac Leftwich his props there, though. In the second quarter, remember, we had 4 drives in the second quarter, or that ended in the second quarter. 3 of them ended with field goal attempts. One of them was a missed field goal. And so that's going to be, ESPN already kind of had an article where they looked at each team and said why they can win and why they can't. And the why they can't was our red zone offense. And I will say that's one piece in this game that I was a little disappointed in, was simply because, especially after how great West Virginia UCF is, I do agree with you in that we still saw some of those creative plays in the red zone. One of them ended up being a touchdown later in the game. But we still, and not even just red zone, because a couple of these didn't end in the red zone, but just when it was time to score the touchdown, we weren't able to do it, right? And so now I will say where I differ from everybody else is that I understand that the Texas Tech team is still one of the best scoring offenses in the country. And the biggest reason why they're one of the best scoring offenses in the country is because we're going to get points regardless, right? So our points per drive is very high. And you would be surprised to know that, because you're like, well, we score a lot of field goals. How is that even the case? Well, it's because almost every drive usually ends in a field goal, at least, right? So even though our red zone efficiency for touchdowns is not high at all, actually, we're 101st. So that's just great, obviously. However, because we have a high propensity of at least scoring and getting points out of the drives, that helps, right? A team like, let's say, in Oregon, for example, who also scores a lot of points per game, but not as high as Texas Tech, they just don't get to the red zone as often. They don't, not as many of their drives end in points. So as much as it sucks that we're not as great in getting touchdowns, we are great at getting points regardless. We're great at getting to the 20, to the 30, to the 15, to the 10. Stone Harrington's first team all conference, one, because with the exception of the 2 missed field goals today, which kind of sucked, he's been good with his accuracy. He's also gotten a lot of opportunities. His legs gotten a little tired this year because we get points off of that. So props to Mac Leftwich at the very least getting points after every drive, but a little wary on his red zone efficiency a little bit. So at halftime, Jeremy, it is 13-7. Texas Tech scored 13 straight, all in the second quarter there. You mentioned a little bit that pitch and catch to Coy Eakin, buddy. Great throw by Morton. Great catch by Aiken. Listen, we have criticized Aiken quite a bit this year, rightfully so. Dude was money today in that game. Dude was money in that game. 2 touchdown catches, both of them great. But yeah, 13-7 at halftime. If you're BYU, you're like, we're not out of it. We're not out of it. Not the best. Not the best second quarter. Right? Only got 3 first downs, 2 first downs in that second quarter. Right? But you're like, hey, we're not out of it. We're still a 1 possession game. Their kicker missed a field goal. We're good. Problem, Jeremy, is that their kicker missed the field goal right after that. But hey, we're good. We're not out of it, right? They I did have a question for you though. On a 4th and 2 on BYU's 14, opportunity to go up to 2 possessions. We decided to go for it, and we don't get it. Pass batted down, going to Caleb Douglas. What were your thoughts there?
I don't hate that, given the flow of the game, especially since you're on their side of the field, and with the way that your defense had been playing. Now, if it had been very much like that first possession, and it was like, man, BYU's picking up yard after yard, then that one is like, you'll definitely go with the points. But I have very much been for points over, like, possibly for all season, because I think that something that this team does a lot is maybe play a little too aggressively when it's like you could play conservatively here and get yourself into a comfortable position where later on you're not like pressed to do something, right? But in this scenario, for me, I thought, BYU's had no luck offensively. You're putting them in a difficult position back here. Bear Bachmeier is starting to look like Bear Bachmeier he was in the game in Lubbock. And so for me, I thought, what's the harm in trying it here? This is the Big 12 championship, so there's no reason to play it safe just to get, there's no reason to play it safe here. Like, why not go for it? Yeah. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm really big on, it's not a bad call after. It's only a bad call if you think it's a bad call before the fact, right? You don't get to see whether it fails or passes and then say, oh, it's a bad call. I'm not going to say it's a bad call. I did disagree with it. I do believe you go up 2 scores. Like, scores is what matters, right? If you're going to go from up 4 points to up 7 points, then I'd have said, like, nah, it's not, go for it. But going up 2 scores, that was the right decision. But you know what I love is this, and this defense has done it a few times. Hey, guys, coaches, we made a decision, didn't pan out for us, go get it back for us anyway. And that's what Ben Roberts did.
Yes.
Right there. And actually, Jacob Rodriguez was right there for this as well. Both of them Ben Roberts talked about it after the game. He had a spy on LJ Martin. It was man-to-man. He had it on LJ Martin. LJ Martin went in the block. He said, okay, well, if he's blocking, I'm going to keep my eyes on him, but I'm going to float right here and watch Bachmeier. Watch Bachmeier. Oh, he's passing. And if you notice, both him and Rodriguez go up for the batted ball. Roberts says, ooh, tap that to myself. Thank you very much. Interception. Next play is what we were talking about. Right to Dickey, right in the red zone. Great creative play right there. And Dickey goes for a touchdown. And Jeremy, I'm not going to lie to you. At this moment, 3 minutes, 21 seconds to go in the third quarter, Texas Tech up 21-7. We're Big 12 champs.
Yeah.
BYU's not coming back from this. And it's not that they can't. It's not that it's impossible. I'm not saying that there is that's just not. It's just talk about the flow of the game. Talk about what we know about the Texas Tech team in general. 21-7, 3 minutes, 21 seconds to go in the third quarter. Game is over. And now after what we've seen from everybody else, that is how I'm going to feel. Doesn't matter who we play. 3 minutes, 21 seconds to go in the third quarter. We're up 21-7. We're not losing. I'm sorry.
It is an anaconda. This team has been an anaconda all season. That if you allow them to put you in a hole, to get you in a squeeze, it's over. No team has been able to claw their way out. It's been put them into a position that makes them uncomfortable, makes them ditch their game plan, make them stressed out because time is ticking away and the defense is not getting tired, and it's over. It's curtains. You're done. That's how it's been all season. So I agree completely. Like, even if we're in the playoffs, we're playing Oregon, right? And we're up 14 in the third. Buddy, I'm going to be thinking Oregon's got to have a miracle to get over this hump.
I'm going to be thinking, so how much are Peach Bowl tickets again?
That's right.
And then right after that, it helps. First play in the fourth quarter. Bro, AJ Holmes. Blitzes
huge.
Dude. So blitzes through the B gap. There's a pulling guard. Bad time for you to be a pulling guard. Absolutely right there. Shoots his gap, destroys Bachmeier. Bachmeier did a fake, turned around. Oh, destroyed. And I do wish Romello, like, listen, hey, Romello Height never had that. It used to be called. It used to be a drill that was either a scoop or I can't remember what exactly we called it, but like scoop or fall, basically. And what the coach would do is he put the football out there, and he'd either lay back or like go attack it. And if he was going to go attack it, you were supposed to just fall on it. But if he laid back, you're supposed to scoop and score, right? It's a very popular D-line drill. And so I'm like, Romello, come on, you ain't never do the drill. Come on, man, scoop. That's a touchdown, baby. Come on.
That was a touchdown. That was clear as day, for sure.
But Romello was like, listen, I just got to get this back. I just got to get this
right.
Back.
I'm not about to mess up.
Yeah, I'm not about to mess
Everybody's
up
watching.
Unfortunately, though, and then this kind of goes to the woes a little bit offensively, but unfortunately, we don't get it. We only have to kick a field goal. But you know what, Jeremy? Once again, Ben Roberts is like, that ain't no problem. That ain't no problem. Great. One of the best interceptions. The only interception I can think of that's better than this, and actually I don't even say better, it's tied, is that Jacob Rodriguez interception that he had was they even took, I think it was against BYU, if I'm not mistaken, where they took that it wasn't against BYU, it might have been against Houston. But anyways, he hurdled, he got a one-handed interception, hurdled the defender and ran. It's the only interception from this team that I think is on par with how amazing the Ben Roberts interception was.
Yeah.
Right? Zone concept, goes one way, looks at reads Baron Bachmeier's eyes, turns his hip, goes the other way, attacks the ball, one-handed snag right there. Incredible. Like something that if you want to teach linebackers how to play in coverage, hey boy, sit right beside me, watch number 13 from Texas Tech. Watch him go. All right, like that is just amazing. It's an absolutely incredible play there by Ben Roberts, sorry. And hey, all's great from the rest of the game. I mentioned it before, Koy Aiken, another great catch and run up the sideline, split between two defenders in for a touchdown. It's all, and this is when we just start being bullies. All right, we just start being bullies at this point. Quick, fast, and in a hurry, go from 13-7 to 34-7 with a snap of a finger, and we're celebrating. We're taking videos, we're crying, taking pictures. We're champions. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just, and couple big things. One, Joey McGuire actually, like you said, Joey McGuire, I think he alluded to when the game wasn't over, but it was over. I think he was learning to like third quarter, it was like got to 21 points, time's ticking down. He said that's when it really started to settle on his shoulders of like, he'd been locked in the whole time. He was just like, we got to just do our job here. It's just another game. Let's do this. Had that guy approach him in the hotel, 75-year-old man who's like, I've been waiting for this one, for years. And then Joey tells him, well, we'll get it today. And in the back of his mind, he's like, how many coaches have told this guy pretty much, or how many like Texas Tech coaches have said, like, we're going to go get it next year. We're going to go get the next one. But there was this moment like late in the third or early in the fourth where it was just kind of like settling on his shoulders. What a tremendous feeling that has got to be. McGuire came in to a kind of bullet-ridden program for a lot of reasons, and came out that first year. Remember, we had so many away games. We had a tough schedule that first year. He fought through it, got some good wins. Had some tough losses. Kind of raised the stakes. Second year, third year, and then here we are. And didn't take him that long to go Texas Tech to go from pretty garbage to Big 12 champs.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to talk, you can talk about money all you want, but I think that, there's a harder conversation that needs to never happen, that like Joey McGuire is just a good coach. And he got these guys to buy in and get to a point where, nothing's impossible for them, right? You got a lot of random guys, and we're not the only team that brought on a bunch of transfers. So it takes some talent, but there you are in the fourth quarter, time's ticking down. That's it.
Yeah.
Cannons, dunked, Gatorade, man. Like it was a surreal feeling. I honestly just had to sit there and just stare at the TV. I didn't know what to do. I was like, We finally did it.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. No, it's like we hold people's feet to the fire more than most. I think we've held Kirby Hoka's feet to the fire. We've held for non-sport reasons. We've held Joey Maguire's feet to the fire probably more than anybody else, right? Joey Maguire is putting up a resume that'll have him retire as the greatest Texas Tech head coach of all time.
Yeah,
like that's before this year. Everybody, before this year, him and Leach were, I think, tied for most wins to begin a career in Texas Tech history. Now, obviously, with this season, he's blowing it out of the water, right? He is now tied what the 08 team did. If anything, he surpassed it because he actually won the championship from the 08 team. And his fourth year, not his eighth. Well, that would have been his eighth. Not his eighth year, his fourth year doing this. He said sooner or later people are going to find out everything runs through Lubbock. And for 3 years, Texas fans have done nothing but make fun of him and hate him for it. And look at that. 2 years later. Look at that. 2 years later, Jeremy, things are starting to run through Lubbock. A Big 12 championship runs through Lubbock. Right? Yeah, short turnaround. A Big 12 championship runs through Lubbock. Right? Oregon got to come through Lubbock or come through Texas Tech at least.
Yeah.
Right? People are starting to find out. And so, man, it is absolutely amazing. What a time to be alive. Texas Tech, Big 12 champions, to say the least. So,
and I've seen so many people jiving at Tech still. Let me just say this as a Texas Tech fan. You're never going to have a complacency. Fans out there aren't going to let you have it because they can't compute that a Texas Tech football team is better than their team, especially Texas fans. But I've also seen it from A&M fans. I've seen it from Baylor fans. I've seen it from all over people now, right? But it's like you got to block out the noise because you know what I've noticed is that, man, I ain't never seen Indiana people talking shit to other people. I ain't never seen Ohio State fans really. I mean, unless you're Michigan, but I ain't never seen them talking.
Ohio State be talking
to about just everybody.
Yeah, Ohio State be talking. Ohio State be talking. But your point is valid. Your point
I'm
is
saying,
valid.
by and large, as the group of fans go, the teams at the top typically, I don't see them having as much beef with other people because they don't need to. The success has brought them where they're at. And all their focus right now is the next game. Everybody else is sitting at home. You're playing championship games. That's what they're focused on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So it's Texas Tech fans rejoice. You don't have to care what anybody else says because they just got to watch you play in the college football playoffs now.
That's right.
Especially Notre Dame fans. So, pew.
So with that being said, let's talk about championship weekend real quick. So Tulane,
our 100% accurate championship weekend that fell apart instantly.
Real quick, I'm gonna just run through the games that didn't matter. Kennesaw State did barely beat Jacksonville State to win the Conference USA championship. Boise State blew out UNLV 38-20. Kennesaw State won 19-15. Boise State won 38-21 over UNLV. And Western Michigan beat Miami, Ohio 23-13.
Yeah. So why should I be right about anything in my life?
Yeah. So the American, one of the games that did matter, Tulane did beat North Texas and we both picked North Texas. The Tulane did beat North Texas pretty handily. It seemed like we were talking about how Eric Morris seemed to be more locked in. John Summerall was out here doing the Gator chomp. He ain't locked in enough. And he was like, haha, you thought? I'm ready. I'm ready, boys. And so, Eric Morris now is like, all right, well, now that I'm done with this nonsense, I can go over to Stillwater real quick. Tulane moves on. They knew they were going to get a piece of that CFP pie. One team that didn't know they were getting a bite of that CFP pie or not was James Madison, who put BTA to Troy, beat him 31-14. I said BTA. It's actually a pretty close game up until the fourth quarter. Up until somebody was like, "Hey, James Madison, you probably should try to win this game now. It's you never know. You might be in a position to go to the college football playoff. So they ended up winning that game 31-14. Any thoughts of either of the top group of 5 championship games?
Truly good for you, James Madison. Obviously, like Howard said, just realizing like, hey, it's this or nothing, right? You're playing, Troy, who's had kind of an up and down season. Tulane surprised me. Yeah, they're higher ranked, blah, blah, blah. But past the metrics is where we were trying to look of like, man, North Texas is a dangerous team, really high offensive driven team. They could put a lot of points on a lot of people. And Tulane said, bet, let's, you know what? No. And held them to 21, which is one of their season lows. So good on Tulane to really spy out Mestemaker and, make his game just one-dimensional and crush that dimension. So, and now we get Tulane in the college football playoffs. Fantastic. Yep. Just like when I ran Tulane as head coach in NCAA or college football 25.
And now we get to hate Mestemaker starting next year. So
that's right.
Allegedly. Well,
welcome to the Terror Dome.
It hasn't been talked about yet.
Right.
I mean, it's like the world's worst kept secret. Yeah. Anyways, one team that did not lock in was the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia, guys. Guys, you just got to beat Duke. You got to beat Duke in the college football playoff. You just got to beat Duke. That's it. And Duke actually had the lead for almost all of this game. For the majority of this game, Duke had the lead. Yeah. Duke was like the better team for the majority of this game. And, you're thinking, oh, well, it's because Duke's at home. Durham's not too far from Charlotte. That's why. No, it's not why. Nope. Duke does not have enough football fans to fill that Charlotte stadium. Also, there's nobody in that Charlotte stadium. But Duke just outplayed them. And then for Chandler Morris, who's ending his what seems like a 10-year career in college football, to end it with a interception to lose the game, it's kind of a microcosm of it all, right?
Yeah.
Just shout out to my Guinean brother Darian Mensah from Duke, leading them to an ACC championship. And but yeah, now Duke with a title. And that reward as ACC champions, Duke, you know what you get? El Paso.
Yeah.
You get Sun Bowl. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Make sure you eat a lot of Frosted Flakes. That is that's your reward for winning the ACC. But it kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy game. This was the craziest game of the bunch. Because, yeah, Duke, obviously, we wrote them off. Everybody wrote them off. The Blue Devils did not write themselves off. Came out swinging from the get-go. And Virginia, I just really didn't take them seriously and got put on their back foot early. And like you said, it wasn't until the fourth quarter that Virginia was, putting together what they could to get, it's kind of like, let's pull out all the stops now so that we can get these points. Take it to overtime. I remember I was walking away from the TV and I texted Albert. I was like, Duke. And then Albert was like, maybe, hold on. Because I didn't see that Virginia had forced it to overtime. But even still, I mean, Duke coming through, congratulations. You blew up the ACC's chances of representation. But you know what? Hey, if Virginia can't go out and win it, they don't deserve it. And Duke thought the same thing.
So hindsight's 50-50, obviously. Or hindsight's 2020, sorry. Hindsight's 2020. Yeah. But should Virginia have gone for 2 at the end of that game?
I mean, yeah, because it's the same thing we were talking about earlier of just this is your championship game. You can't leave anything back.
Yeah. Because, they scored a touchdown, 20 seconds left. This is the end. Duke's not coming back from this. 22 seconds left. You're going to win the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Anyways, Georgia at Alabama. Kind of a game that didn't really matter too much. Georgia was the only thing that was really going to happen is if Georgia would have lost the game, they might have lost the first round bye, maybe. But that's about it. Alabama knew that win or lose, they were going to be in the college football playoff. Even though some people try to act like they wouldn't be, they were always going to be. And then Georgia, the same thing. And Georgia kind of avenged their only loss of the season. The big reason why I think that they stay, I was surprised they didn't move up to number 2 because Georgia is the only team that can sit here and say we have beaten every team we've played, right? And so yeah, and actually not only did they beat Alabama, I mean, they beat them pretty soundly.
They beat them. Yeah. Alabama didn't see the end zone to the fourth quarter, and it was way too late by that point.
Is Alabama the worst team in the worst Power 4 team in the CFP?
I don't know.
I kind of think yes.
Okay. Well, do you think that because of the previous games, or are you leveraging it just with Georgia?
Just period. I mean,
because he lost against Oklahoma, right?
Remember, lost against Oklahoma.
Florida State was obviously the awful one.
Yeah, I guess they just. I mean, but even then, I mean, watching them against Auburn, like Alabama, I don't think they've looked dominant in any game they've played this year.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, for me, it's like, what? And then, so are they the worst? Maybe. I'm still wrestling with Ole Miss not really having the head coach from the season.
That's fair. That's true.
But as far as like production in the season, Alabama for sure. Alabama is a team I would easily replace with BYU, because BYU improved over the course of the end of the season, whereas Alabama stayed the course.
As did Miami, as did Notre Dame. So, yeah, to that point, all three of these teams are vying for the last spot. All of them have gotten better since the beginning of the season. You look at Alabama and you're like, did you? I mean, you probably got better than the Florida State game, I would hope. But other than that, So, if Duke beating Virginia was the biggest upset of the weekend, this might have been the second biggest. Indiana beating Ohio State. And now, listen, Fernando Mendoza is going to win a Heisman because of this game. He's not why they won this game. They won this game because I've been saying Ohio State's the best defense in the country and Texas Tech's number 2. And I've thought Indiana might be number 3, but I've been like, are they really? Ooh. This game, maybe. This game, Indiana, you might be the best defense in the country. The way, or at least the best, maybe between them and Shield Woods, defense here at Tech, the best coach. Like Indiana was great. They had Julian Sayin in hell. How the hell is Julian Sayin a Heisman finalist? Anyways, but they had him in hell, right? He struggled. They were able to limit the rushing game overall. They were able to get to Julian Sayin quite a bit, sacking him a while. And at the end of the day, Fernando Mendoza made barely enough plays to score points, and even just barely enough plays to score points. And not only that, but Ryan Day's and aptitude and play calling combined with the field goal kicker missing a field goal that would have tied the game towards the end of it. Indiana still undefeated.
Yeah, Indiana. The dream season continues. Mark Signetti. And I saw you. Kurt Signetti. I'm two places at once.
The best video I've seen all weekend.
That's right.
Outside of Texas Tech.
That's exactly right.
Oh my God. I watched that video 10 times. Dude, I watched that video 10 times. I don't know why I missed the press conference from 2 years ago. I watched the video 10 times. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. He gets hired in Indiana. He's at the press conference. Seems like almost bored with these questions. And mind you, a lot of people are talking about the reporter and being like he was a jerk. I'm like, it was a valid question. This is Indiana.
It is a valid question. Yep.
And he's like, why should they trust me? Do you know who
I win?
I win. To say that, mind you, to say that in Indiana at that time is a bit insane. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Here we
are.
But here we are
later.
And I saw a tweet that said Kurt Signetti's going to get a lot of people fired. Why can't you be like Kurt Signetti? That's right. Well, because he's better than me, Paul. So yeah, no, Indiana. It's it's pretty incredible. I mean, hell, last year they were a college football playoff team. You know what I mean? Like. Last year, the college football playoff team, and if you remember, they got whooped so bad in the college football playoff. Everybody was like, see, you can't just be letting trash teams like Indiana get in.
Yeah, this team sucks. Yep.
And then they were like, okay, bet. And came back and now we're undefeated, beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. So.
And, to Ohio State's credit and greatest dismay, they had a chance in the fourth quarter to tie it up with their field goal. They took a field goal from, it really wasn't that far, 27 yards.
No good.
No good.
So with that, college football playoff came in, and the biggest question was who would be the final at-large spot. Right. Obviously, Indiana became number one. So Indiana became number one. They got the Rose Bowl because they're a Big Ten champ. That makes sense. Ohio State got number two. Georgia got number three, and they got the Sugar Bowl because they're the SEC champ. That makes sense. Texas Tech got number four. Ohio State actually has the number two seed, got the Cotton Bowl because of proximity. Because they're not the Big Ten champs, but because of the higher seed, all right, where are they closer to? All right, ACC gets Orange Bowl, Big 12 gets Cotton Bowl, but you're higher, Ohio State. So where do you get to go? You get to go to the Cotton Bowl because it is 60 miles closer to you than Miami is. And that sends Texas Tech over to the Orange Bowl. Wildly disappointing. For Ohio State, it wouldn't have mattered between Cotton Bowl and Orange Bowl.
You're
flying for either one. Both of them are
5-minute difference in the plane.
Yes. Yeah, like that is for Texas Tech. It's a huge difference. Huge difference. I will say one benefit, however, because all I care about is us winning the game. It's going to be a pretty tall task for Oregon to fly on over. So much so that I think if Dan Lanning does not have them come at least a day earlier than they would, it'd be a huge mistake. Because them flying over 4 time zones, playing a game at what would be 9 a.m. Pacific time, it's going to be tough for them. Houston to Miami is actually not that bad of a flight. I've flown a few times. It's to FLL. All right, Houston. Not Houston. Sorry, Lubbock to FLL. Not a bad flight. About 3 hours, 3.5 hours. You watch Catch Me If You Can. It's a good movie. Questionable Christmas movie. You may say it's not a Christmas movie. They mentioned Christmas quite a few times. Anyways, not a bad one. I'm just saying he gets arrested on Christmas. He gets arrested on Christmas. He talks to the cops on every Christmas. I'm just saying it's not a Christmas movie. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm just saying. Anyways, I'm just saying. Anyway,
it is a good movie though.
It is a great movie. But yeah, so that's the reason why we're not going to the Cotton Bowl. We're going to the Orange Bowl instead. So it does suck, but I mean, there's no buts actually. It just sucks. But if we talk about the rest of the field, right? So with the rest of the field, the 5 seed is Oregon. So Oregon is who we would play if they win their first round playoff game. They're getting a home playoff game against 12 seeded James Madison, who we just talked about. Oregon's going to win. Let's be real. Well, actually, no, do that next. Sorry. I'm going to go through this a little bit. So 6 seed Ole Miss is going to play Tulane in Ole Miss. 7 seed A&M is going to play Miami at A&M. And then 8 seed Oklahoma is going to play 9 seed Alabama. Obviously, most of us are going to say Oregon and Ole Miss are going to win the game, as they should. I will say I've thought all year long James Madison was the best group of 5 team. I think one thing that is really holding James Madison back is that they did get beat by 2 touchdowns to a above average Louisville team, and not a great Louisville team. And so you look at them and say, well, they probably stink. And I don't think they're going to beat Oregon, but I do think they might give Oregon a better game than people are assuming. Right? Maybe the spread 21.5 points. I look at it, I'm like, I don't know about that. And then we're also going to see Tulane against Ole Miss. Tulane, a team without a head coach, but they're happy for him. Ole Miss, a team without a head coach, and they're like, screw that guy. So again, we'll see what happens there. I expect both of those to be W's. But the main thing is that I mentioned the 10 seed Miami gets in at A&M ahead of Notre Dame, ahead of BYU. What are your thoughts of Miami getting that last spot?
I think it sets a good precedent, or it maintains the precedent of head-to-head. And I think that's what the committee just fell back on, whether that was at the last minute or not. They did. I mean, they absolutely did a little bit of like shifty work there with their decisions on Selection Sunday. But as far as when I saw Miami go up there, and I immediately told Emily, I was like, oh my God, Notre Dame didn't get in. She was like, what? I was like, it was going to either be Notre Dame or Miami. Like there was no way in my mind they were going to put both in there. And so when Miami popped up on the screen, I knew they decided that head to head it was, and I like that. I think that's important. No matter what part of the season it is, I think it's important because in the same breath, if you just got to win your games. And if you're not winning the games and the team that beats you wins, gets in, you can't be upset with that. You should have won the game, right? Yes, you got better as the season went on, but okay, does that mean that you still didn't lose? That team is also experiencing growth in the season. You're just going to assume that you can, we've seen it before, most notably in the Big 12 with Utah fans, where it's like, if we play Texas Tech again, we beat them. We'd smack them. We've gotten better. It's like, what do you think every other team is doing this entire season? They beat you, and then they decide, we're done. We'll stop getting better. We're just going to take it easy. We did what we had to do. That was our Super Bowl. No. So for me, it made sense. Miami. I was stunned. I was a little stunned. I figured no doubt Notre Dame's going to get in. Brand, their hands all in the pockets of the CFP. But Miami showing up. And now you got a Miami Texas A&M game, which is exciting for Notre Dame fans because those are two teams that you lost to. Now you get to watch which one is really better.
Yeah. So, where I think the college football playoff made a mistake? In week 12, Miami, not too far off of their loss. Actually, no, in week 11, Miami had just lost to SMU. They were 6-2. And the committee this was the committee's first poll. They said Miami is the 18th best team in the country at 6-2. They said that that made Miami the 6th best 2-loss team in the country. That is behind Vanderbilt, behind Utah, behind Oklahoma, and at the time behind Texas. They said Notre Dame, you were the best 2-loss team in the country, ahead of all the teams I just mentioned. That was week 11, right? The following week, BYU lost to Texas Tech, and they said, hey, sorry, BYU, I know you only have 1 loss, but you are worse than 3 2-loss teams, worse than Texas, worse than Oklahoma, and worse than Notre Dame. The mistake the committee did, they made a mistake. Though they moved Miami up to 15th in the same poll, that is when the committee made their mistake that haunted them to this day. Now, obviously, you cannot predict what's going to happen later on. Can't predict that. However, you looked at this and you knew that Notre Dame had lost to Miami already. You knew, and you said, even though that's the case, they're just flat out better than Miami. That's how what we believe today. And over the course of that was week 12. Over the course of 5 weeks, now all of a sudden you just believe Miami's better. Well, no, you don't believe Miami's better. What ended up happening is that Oklahoma proved that, oh, man, they're really good. You had a team like Texas lose. And then you just let Miami continue to move up because, well, you felt like you had to. And so I think it was the Notre Dame AD that said it best, which was that you made us feel as though we were going to go to the college football playoff, and you swept it up from under us, right? That's the issue. I think everybody agrees, like what you were just saying, Jeremy, head-to-head has to matter. I think everybody agrees with that. I think I also agree that Miami deserves to be ahead of Notre Dame because they both had 2 losses, and they beat them. But they both had 2 losses, and they beat them 5 weeks ago. That didn't change. 5 weeks ago, they said that. But 5 weeks ago, you were certain Notre Dame was better. So, that I think is the biggest thing. I think Notre Dame fans at the end of the day are most pissed because for the last 5 to 6 weeks, you were saying we are a college football playoff team. And then at the last second, you said, oopsies, never mind. And that is where I think they have every right to be upset.
Here's an alternative. Do you think that, or an option, do you think that Heisman voting, do you think, I was looking at tweets, do you think that the college football playoff rankings should not come out until maybe the week before championship week?
I'll do you one better. I've been thinking about this a lot. I actually think they should put out only 3 rankings a year. Just 3.
Oh.
I think they should do so. In the Selection Sunday, they only do it twice, maybe 3. I know they do it 3 times. Yeah, the committee for basketball only do it 3 times. They do it once, about 2/3 in the season. They do it another time, a little bit before the end of the season, and they do Selection Sunday, and that's how it should be here as well. You do it once in week 11, I think it is, when they first do that first one. You do one more, maybe week 14, and then the last one is the last one, right? And that I think they should implement starting next week, because the biggest problem that we have here is that everybody's looking at this and saying, well, just like nothing changed. You thought that Miami and Notre Dame didn't play last week. And now all of a sudden, like, the reasoning was also idiotic. You were like, well, we decided not to punish anybody for losing. And we saw, like, Alabama got their teeth kicked in by Georgia. We didn't want to punish them. But BYU also got their teeth kicked in by Texas Tech. And so, because of that, we felt like Miami was better than Notre Dame. Like, that doesn't make any sense. What? Like, that is, like, so, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's because it doesn't make any sense, you're forced to sound stupid because you don't believe what you're saying, right? Like the fact of the matter is that you were like, well, we made a mistake 5 weeks ago. We put Notre Dame ahead of Miami all this time. Now there's only Notre Dame, Miami, and we have to honor the head-to-head. And that's the case. But if you only had it 3 times, you wouldn't have to say these things. It would just be known. It'd be easy to say Miami's ahead of Notre Dame because they beat them head-to-head if you didn't have Notre Dame ahead of Miami for the last 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah. The switcheroo is that discredits the prestige of like your entire process. Like, if you want this to feel trustworthy and eligible, stick to what you're saying, Yeah, I agree.
Or they could have done the smart thing, which is never have put either one behind BYU to begin with.
That is also true. And that is
or ahead of BYU. Yeah. BYU has had the better resume way back when. They've had it. Even when they lost Texas Tech the first time, they had the better resume. So if you did what you were supposed to do and always put BYU ahead of Notre Dame and Miami, you could have just continued to do that. And Notre Dame should have been the 10 seed and playing the A&M this weekend. They should have been making a trip back to Texas. Or not this weekend, but the next weekend. Should have been making a trip back to Texas to play A&M because they deserve it. And for the second year in a row, BYU is the biggest snub, yet they are not the biggest snub being talked about for the second year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. And do you think it's just a conference thing?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Honestly, I think it's the biggest thing. They unfortunately, they thought joining a power conference was finally going to be their problem, solve their problems. And unfortunately, they just didn't join the SEC or Big Ten. Unfortunately, the Big 12 is not it's not about the talent level in the Big 12 or the teams in the Big 12. We are not respected. Just point blank. We as a conference are not respected. And so that's the issue there.
Best thing you can do for that is go deep. Go to the championship. That's right. Texas Tech.
That's right. So yeah, I definitely feel for BYU. But what is your initial reactions to the bracket?
Too many SEC teams. Too many SEC teams for me. I think really I don't have any problems with the bracket all in all, though. I think it's interesting that your 9 and your 8 are just going to be another SEC matchup. And this is where you're talking about, Alabama, are you a good team or not? Oklahoma's already got the, 1.5 line in their favor. And so it's, curiosity there of what's going to happen. But I like having G5 teams in there. I like Tulane being in there. I like James Madison being in there. Listen, like a lot of old people, boomers, losers are complaining that, why are we having G5? Why are we group of 5 teams in there? Why shouldn't we have Texas? Why shouldn't we have whoever? Why aren't my favorite teams playing? Your favorite teams suck. They didn't work their butts off, man. Sorry. Like Tulane worked their ass off. James Madison worked their ass off. They earned it. The point of expanding this was to offer an opportunity for the conference champions, even in the lower conferences, to have an opportunity to play for something more. Yes, the line for Ole Miss and Tulane is Ole Miss 17.5. But the magic of it is that Tulane has an opportunity here where Ole Miss is in like this coaching transition to do something surprising, to shock the world, right? And then Tulane gets boat raced by Georgia. But to have an opportunity, it's the same thing. We cannot romanticize March Madness with the Cinderella stories and then turn around for college football and say, that's not how it works. Like, that's not how we want it here. Yeah, the schematics, the metrics are a little different. The game is a little different. But the beauty of like just playing and loving football is still there. Let these teams play on the biggest stage. Let them taste that, man. Why not? Yeah. You can't just assume because they're not a part of your favorite conference or your favorite whatever that they don't deserve a seat at the table. Like, you are exclusive. You're making football a yacht club, and it's disgusting.
You know what I don't care about? Ratings. I don't care about ratings. I don't care that people are not going to watch the ratings. You know what I don't care about? If a team gets blown out, I don't care. You talk about March Madness. Teams get blown out in March Madness all the time. We romanticize the buzzer beaters, but teams get blown out all the time. And my whole thing with the college football playoff, the reason why I want expansion in the first place, was I used to see an undefeated Auburn team miss out on the college football playoff or on the BCS championship game because there were too many undefeated teams. And I felt to myself, that is terrible that you could go out and win every single game and still not win a national championship. That's awful. And then we went to 4. And that was still happening. UCF was undefeated. They weren't a power conference team, but they didn't even get a chance to prove themselves. They didn't do what they did to Florida State, which is asinine, right? And then I said, okay, well, not only just undefeated, but if you make one mistake, then just like that, your season's over. You don't have a shot at it. That's messed up, right? Now that we're at 12, my thought still remains of, if you're undefeated, if you haven't even make one mistake, you still deserve to have a shot at it. But I will rarely, I will say this, not never, but I will rarely feel sorry for a 2-3 loss team not making it. You made multiple mistakes. No, you do not. I don't think you have the right to compete for a national championship. Texas, Vanderbilt, even BYU to an extent. Now they only lost to one team. But I'm just not gonna feel bad that you blew your chances. Because the national championship is supposed to define the best team in the country, right? And so, with that being said, the reason I do like, to your point, the G5, ACC, whatever champions getting in, is because these automatic qualifiers, what they do is they strip away opinion. They strip away the hypotheticals. They strip away, I think one thing I've started to just hate hearing is, oh, well, we just need the 12 best. No. Because your 12 best and my 12 best are different. Right? Like, you think Texas is the best, one of the 12 best because they have more blue. What the hell is this blue chip ratio, composite team rating nonsense that I've been hearing from SEC teams lately? What the hell does that even mean? Right? Like, the team composite score. That doesn't matter. I want to see what team James Madison went 12-1 this year. They won 12 games this year. They earned the right to be in the college football playoff. They won 12 games this year. It's simple. Yeah. It strips away the opinion. It says what 5 teams get. The 5 teams get automatic qualifiers because they won their conference. And every single sport in college sports has automatic qualifiers.
That's right.
Every single one. Because it gives you the opportunity. If I am Prairie View A&M, right, and I've had a 500 season, I am 15-15 in college basketball, I can still win a national championship as long as I win my conference tournament and make a run in the tournament. I love that. Now, that can't happen in football. I'm not asking for it to happen in football. But what I am saying is that at the beginning of the season, not every group of 5 team, but every Power 4 team at the very least, and if you're in the American, it probably applies to you as well, has the opportunity to go to the national championship game. Every single one. And that just hasn't been the case before. Ask Florida State, ask UCF, ask Auburn. That just hadn't been the case before. Ask Utah, ask TCU. That just hadn't been the case before. And so, like, that is my whole thing, my whole reason. So I love the automatic qualifiers. I think it's necessary to have the automatic qualifiers because it strips that away. And is James Madison going to get boat raced by Oregon? Maybe, probably, but that doesn't matter. Who cares? I don't care if it's a blowout. I really don't.
Yeah.
They still earn the right to be there. Everybody makes fun of TCU getting blown out by Georgia, and I love it because they're TCU, but they still earn the right. They beat Michigan. Everybody forgets that they beat Michigan and earned the right to be there. At the time of that game, they had won 13 games that year. They were 13-1 ahead of the national championship game. They'd earned the right to be there. So I think it's just asinine that we're even having this conversation. And what was going to happen every year? We're just going to go through this, right? So just a lot of changes need to be made, but the automatic qualifiers is not one of them. I don't want to get rid of the group of 5 admittance, right? I think it's one of the benefits of getting a 5 seed is that, hey, you don't have to play Texas in round 1. You get to play James Madison. You've earned it. You have a 5 seed. Good job. Right? If Oklahoma wanted that seed, they shouldn't have lost 2 games. Right? Like that's one of the benefits, how I look at it. Right? So yeah, I think overall that's just the case for me. Not only that, but Joey McGuire also talked about the calendar. And his big thing is that college football is not a spring sport. There's no reason the national championship game should ever be played after the second semester has already started. The spring semester has already started. And his suggestion was to start the college football year at least a week earlier and do it in a way that has a national championship game being played the weekend of New Year's, right? And this would help with the transfer portal. Because the whole reason for the transfer portal schedule is it has to be before the next semester and in time for the next semester. So it helps with that. It doesn't eliminate it, but it does help with that. And all that stuff. And so any thoughts to this potential calendar change?
What, to just like moving, moving everything up, compressing?
Move it all up. Yeah.
Man, if it works, it works. Like if there's no like scheduling or time issue with that, then I have no problem with that. I think
they're gonna have to make it work, right? If this was the decision, I do think this is something that helps, right? Because it does help the trend. So if we're thinking about it now, the transfer portal will still be a mess regardless. Yeah. But if the transfer portal, instead of it being literally right, I think it's about to open here in a couple of days. Instead of it being then, it's at least a little bit later in the in the postseason, right? Later in the bowl season, so maybe that helps out a little bit. One idea I've heard recently, how in softball every year the women's Final Four is or not Final Four, sorry, the Women's College World Series is in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And the golf championships, I don't know if you know this, but the golf championships is out in California every single year. The College World Series is in Omaha every single year. And I've heard some people say that what if the college football playoff was in the Rose Bowl every single year? And I think that is an amazing idea. Because trip out to the Bay Area every year, or not the Bay Area, sorry, the LA every year might be a little bit taxing for certain people, right? From Georgia, you may make that trip a little bit. You'd rather have that trip rotating, something like that. That may be all the case. However, man, the Rose Bowl is different. You ask TCU fans about going to the Rose Bowl. Shout out to Melissa Treebwasser. She told us all the time. She's like, man, the Rose Bowl is magical. Right? Yeah. If Texas wins the national championship, I'm all for it. I'm gonna make my trip out to Miami Gardens and have a great old time. But man, the Rose Bowl would be something else. That'd be amazing. So there's that too. One of my last questions I have for you, Jeremy, again, since we're on this topic, is speaking of Notre Dame. They decided, since they were snubbed, they were going to tuck their tails and not go to a bowl game. They said, you know what? Screw this. Screw y'all. We ain't going to no dang bowl. They weren't the only ones. Kansas State, apparently, sources, had a team meeting, and players were like, you know what? We ain't trying to go to no bowl. This team sucks. We hate everybody hates everybody. We ain't trying to go to no bowl. And apparently Iowa State said, how dare Matt Campbell leave us for Penn State? We also don't want to go to a bowl. The Big 12 fined both K-State and Iowa State $500,000 for them not going. The independent conference fined Notre Dame. Just kidding. There is no independent conference because they're a bunch of lames. But what do you think about this potential trend of, teams skipping out on bowls?
It is a slippery slope to just say my season isn't going the way I want it to go, so I'm going to pack up and just call it, mail it in. Because does that, and I think Big 12 had an appropriate response in leveraging a pretty hefty fine for that, because, when involved in a conference especially, you not showing up to represent the conference, that's a part of your end of the deal, is that you're part of this conference, you get the benefits of being in this conference, whatever those may be. If you decide to opt out of postseason presence where you get to show off the conference against somebody else, then that just looks negatively on their conference. Even if you went out there and lost, that shows better character than you going, yeah, you know what? Nah, we're not gonna do this. So without like some extreme circumstances, I mean, even with losing a head coach, Texas Tech lost a head coach and Tommy Tuberville, and we still went to the bowl game, right? So it's like, why are you not showing up for your brand? Like, why are you not showing up for the logo? Like, why are you not showing up for the university? That sucks, man. I think in Notre Dame's situation is very pick up my ball and go home, because it's like, okay, you could have gone to a nice talking shit at the Pop-Tart Bowl, buddy. Let me tell you something. You would be so lucky to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. But, picking up your ball and going home in that fashion is like you're validating the college football playoffs decision to keep you out. Because it's like you losers. You're not winners. Winners would still go out and play something. But when the conference scenario, between Kansas State, Iowa State, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't first of all, Kansas State, if you don't like each other, then play like dump, but like show up and try to play. You've had a disappointing season. We all get it, but it doesn't mean that has to be over. Iowa State sucks to lose a head coach, but this just is like you've closed the chapter. It's the first chapter of a new, move into something else. Let this bowl game be your final word. I hate the idea, got seniors, busting their butt, good team or not. And then here you are at the end of the season, and you didn't realize in that moment that your last game was your last game. And all of a sudden you don't get to play football again. Mm-hmm. That gets under my skin.
Some of these guys will never put on pads again.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, that's something that's sobering, right? Like, watching some of these high school football playoffs it's last time I ever put pads on in my life, I was 17 years old. You know what I mean? And so, and I didn't even, like, my mind didn't even go to that at the time. But now, like, I look back on it, I'm like, man, that's the last time I've ever put pads on. And so some of these players for Notre Dame will never put pads on ever again. And this is it. They're just like, well, and same thing with K-State. I'm like, what, y'all decided and chose to not play football? That's just insane to me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all decided, you said, I do not want to play football again. I'm beside myself with a couple of those decisions. I saw, like, Mike Hill, which I really respect Mike Hill. He's one of my former ESPN analyst and commentator. I really respect him. But I highly disagree with his take. His take is that, how do you know if it's administrative? It could be the player. They didn't talk to players. I don't care whose decision it was. I don't care if it was the player's decision. I don't care if it was an administrative decision. I don't care if it was the teacher's decision. I don't care whose decision it was. It's a stupid decision across the board. If it's the player is disappointing, if it's the administrator is disappointing, if it's the coach is disappointing, if it's anybody's choice disappointing, it is a bad choice. Just point blank, period. If it is the beginning of the end, that is very sad to see. Bowls go away because they're fun. I love bowls. And that's, I think, a big piece of it is that, like, shout out to, I've started stealing this phrase from Scott McFarland, Scott Wildcat on Twitter, which the phrase is that he's like, he just wants people that love the sport to cover the sport. And not enough people love the sport. I'm tired of hearing about ratings. You don't love the sport if you talk about ratings. I'm sorry. I don't care about ratings. I really don't. I don't care about ratings. I don't care about getting 30 SEC teams in. I don't care about hypotheticals. I don't care about any of that stuff. Right? What I care about is the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That's what makes college football great. That a Pop-Tart is going down a toaster.
That's right. Toaster. Shut up and eat the Pop-Tart. Sure.
It's
not that hard.
A mayo is getting dumped on a head coach. Like, I love that.
Cool.
I talked about the Rose Bowl. You think that Rose Bowl stadium is a better stadium than Miami Gardens? No. It's not a better stadium than the Miami Stadium. It's not a better stadium than Jerry World. I want it in the Rose Bowl because the Rose Bowl is majestic. That's awesome. It's. I wish the Cotton Bowl was played back at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas.
Preach.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I like. Love the sport. I love the mass rider running out. You know what I mean? I love that stuff. I love us throwing tortillas. I like get people who love the sport of college football, that understand the sport of college football, to make decisions on the sport.
Yeah.
Like I would look at a BYU team and say, like, hey, that BYU team probably deserves to be in it ahead of Miami and Notre Dame. Not because of their helmet sticker, but because they've beaten everybody else except for one team. Because their metrics say that they're better, because their metrics say they deserve to be in there. Like there's this stuff like that. Like it's just, and I can actually speak to it. Hey, if you want to speak to why you think Miami should be in there, okay, cool. Not, BYU lost to Texas Tech so bad that we had to put Miami in. That doesn't even make sense. It's stupid. You know what I mean? So, just get off my soapbox there a little bit. But yeah, I just want people that love the sport to actually cover the sport. That's all. And I do feel like that happens more in basketball. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just because it's not, basketball. I think people that love, with the exception of people that want to expand the tournament to like 80 teams. I do feel like basketball people are in charge more and cover the sport more in college basketball. Like when the CBS show happens, these people love college, with the exception of like Charles Barkley tries.
Hey, he's out there for vibes.
He's trying. But the rest of them, Clark Kellogg, like that team, they love college basketball. And I think for the most part, the people that are involved in it really do. But I just want the same aspect in football. Last but not least, Jeremy, some Big 12 coaches made some changes. So talk about Kansas State. Colin Klein's coming back as the head coach for Kansas State, former Texas A&M offensive coordinator. I believe he's still going to coach A&M, if I'm not mistaken,
throughout the
CFP. But he's coming back home. Chris Klieman has retired. And so Colin Klein is taking over. The prodigal son returns home. I will say, Jeremy, sounds very Cliff Kingsbury. Saying a lot of people that are like, oh man, now that Colin Klein's back, we can get this guy as coach that used to be a K-State Wildcat, and this guy coach that used to be a K-State Wildcat, and this guy coach used to be a K-State Wildcat. And I was like, oh man, I've been here. Yep. I've been here. So we'll see. I do think Colin Klein hopefully is smarter than that, but I hope he's not actually. Speaking of teams that I hope now take a bunch of steps backwards, Jeremy, it's finally happened. We've been asking for Iowa State to go back to being doormats for years. Right. For years. And Matt Campbell is finally gone. He took the Penn State job. Penn State really backed up into an actually decent hire. I'm actually shocked to see it.
Yeah.
It's actually a decent hire. I don't think it's a home run hire that they were looking for, but it's not a bad. It's better than Matt Rule. I'll tell you that much.
But I wonder at the same time, for Matt Campbell, it's like, how do you feel about being like the umpteenth like call that they made?
Yeah.
Hey man. I mean, what do you even say? We really want you. We thought about you first.
Yeah. Yeah. We really wanted that.
Legally, we had to make some other calls first.
Yeah, of course. Diversity quota. He's a Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule, that's NFL. No. It comes down here too. He's like, Matt Rule's a white guy. No. Kurt Signetti's a white guy. No. He's yeah, they're
Signetti.
That's Italian. That's Italian. Yeah,
that's right. That's not white. Check your history.
But yeah, I don't. I will say, I think for Matt Campbell, you eventually get to the point of like, am I going to stay here forever?
Yeah,
you're talking about Iowa State, right? Like I know that from what I understand, right? Like he would have been accepting to the Notre Dame job. The Notre Dame job never really came open. Second, Brian Kelly left. It went to Marcus Freeman. he would have been open for the Ohio State job. Ohio State never really came open. Second Urban Meyer left, went to Ryan Day. And so you get to the point where, okay, well, I don't want Wisconsin. I don't want, some of these other jobs. What job would I actually ever take? And, I just think he had to have a real conversation with himself and say, okay, well, if not now, when? And he just decided now's the time. If I'm ever going to go anywhere else, this is it. It seemed like Iowa State was prepared for it. One, they didn't really seem to fight that hard like BYU did. And then two, they hired Jimmy Rogers from Washington State almost immediately. Jimmy Rogers, who spent 1 year at Washington State, said, I am not trying, did 6-6 and like, I'm not trying to stay here. And moved on. Jimmy Rogers actually was really more successful at South Dakota State, where he did win an FCS championship in 23, ending the North Dakota State reign. And then the following year lost in the Final Four. Total of 27-3 at South Dakota State. Then he got the job at Washington State. Last year went 6-6, which, considering that team was awful, not bad, but at the same time he did lose to Oregon State. So I feel like that should be some type of knock on you. Will Iowa State go back to the basement, Jeremy?
I think so. I think so. They've had a tough season. Now, they've got a lot of good pieces, but in the wake of Matt Campbell leaving, you got to wonder if a lot of people are going to be transferring out. Will they be able to replace those pieces and build kind of a new identity for Iowa State in Ames? It'll be really hard. I think they're going to be middling at best, going forward, unless they get some knockout surprise hire for them that ends up being a great recruiter and developer, kind of the way that Matt Campbell was getting into Iowa State. It's going to be it's a tall task for the Cyclones.
Yeah, the Jimmy Rogers selection kind of came out of left field. I was not expecting it. And yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I don't really see it. I don't really see it. I am hoping this brings it back to the basement because we could use more basement teams. I know some people are probably listening to this and saying, what are you talking about? We need the Big 12 to be as strong as ever to help us. Listen, I don't care about none of that. I'm trying to get as many wins as possible. And if they're easier wins, so be it. Kansas is no longer Kansas. We need somebody else to fill their place. And Oklahoma State may not be there for too much longer, unfortunately. So, a lot of topics today on the episode, Jeremy. Anything else you want to say to the people?
A lot of great games coming up. So enjoy it while we have a month until we get back to Texas Tech football, pretty much.
That's right. Long time. But long time and a good time, man. I'm so very excited for Texas Tech. And here's the thing, people. I know the goal this year was Big 12 championship. Big 12 championship, Big 12 championship. That was the goal. We're here. We are champions. One great thing about Indiana beating Ohio State, I was of the opinion for about at least the last month that Ohio State is just far and away better than everybody else this year. And that if somebody else would have to beat Ohio State for me to feel like we can win a national championship. Somebody did that. It's Indiana. And listen, and same way that people aren't necessarily, if you're other teams are not necessarily scared of us, I'm not really scared of Indiana. And what I mean by that is that I think Indiana can win that championship? Of course. They're the only undefeated team left in football. However, Indiana beating Ohio State, what that taught me was this is a wide open race. Just like how 8-seeded Ohio State won last year's national championship, Texas Tech has arguably the best defense in football, definitely the best rush defense in football. We might be able to get it done. Save the money for Miami Gardens here in will be a little over a month because we might be able to get her done. And my God, would that be amazing? I think we have all the tools. Jeremy, we have all the tools.
We got the tools. And Baron Morton, very high level of athleticism on Saturday. A lot of running around. A lot more running around than he's done in a while. So that's good news. Now he's got time to rest, do some more therapy, physical therapy, PT, get some more strength back in that ankle. Could be good news.
Jimmy, if I told you strip away the brands and strip away the logos and all that stuff, if I told you that, hey, man, there's a team coming to the college football playoff, they're going to get a first-round bye, They have the best pass rusher, arguably in the country. They have the best linebacker in the country, the one that's winning all the awards. They have a guy who was a freshman All-American last year that had 2 interceptions in the last game. They have a guy that led the Big 12 in interceptions this year. They have a guy that was top 3 in the Big 12 in rushing yards this year. They have a guy that was 4th in the Big 12 in receiving yards this year. They have the tight end who was 3rd in the Big 12 in receiving yards this year. And they have another running back that was also top 10 in rushing yards this year. And the quarterback led the conference in passing yards per game this year. What would you think?
If you didn't say Big 12, I was going to be like, was that Ohio State? That's a dangerous team.
Either way, you say that's a dangerous team. You say, man, that team got to be one of the favorites for the national championship.
Nope.
So I'm just saying, like, this is, especially in a wide open field.
Yeah, that's right.
The only reason you have guys saying that Texas Tech is fraudulent, which we heard earlier today, is simply because they've seen us play in the Big 12. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, it's all right there in front of us. So I'm wanting to see it. I'm willing to see it. I'm saying I'm not gonna go to the Orange Bowl.
I may buy another Texas Tech shirt. Ooh, baby, it's been years.
I'm not going to the Orange Bowl because I'm saving my money to go to Miami in 2 weeks after that.
Because, and I was having this conversation with somebody today. Here's the thing. If you don't splurge the money and you go, or if you splurge the money to go and we lose, you'll be upset. If you stay at home, save the money, and we end up going and you get to spend that money in the next one, you'll be so much more. You'll be so much more thankful.
Yeah, and I'm a believer. Like, I just want to be in the city. I'm probably not going to buy tickets if we go to the national championship game. I'm probably not going to buy tickets to the national championship game. Like I'm not spending multiple thousands of dollars to be in there. But I got to be in the city. I got to be in the city where it happens.
Albert's like, I gotta feel the vibration,
dude. The vibes, like I've lived in Houston during the Super Bowl. I've lived in Houston during the Final Four. I've been here during the national championship. The vibes are insane, and I've always been like, man, if my team was ever here, I got to be in the city. Like the vibes are just all the fan fest around your team. Is whenever the Patriots played the Falcons, the Super Bowl was in Houston. I'm like, man, it feels like I saw the Falcons fans that hadn't been there before. And it was like, this whole week is amazing. And I'm like, I gotta be there. And so for me, I'm like, I gotta be in Miami for the national championship game for Tech. I gotta be in Tampa for the Super Bowl for the Texans. Ooh, it's gonna be a busy. Texans have won 5 straight, Jeremy. We got it. We got to just give it a chance, okay? Just give it a chance.
That's right. And shout out to future baby Gillen for ruining this for me that I have to stay in Lubbock.
You could just be a bad dad.
No, I would not. Emily would murder me legitimately and bury me out back.
Hey, never mind. I was going to make a bad joke. Anyways, anything else you want to say to the people?
No, I've said enough.
I think we've all said enough, but we've all said enough, but not nearly enough because we're Big 12 champs, Jeremy. What a great time. What a great time. This is what college football is all about. This episode may go on forever, but one more thing I got to say. I saw another video today, and the guy was like, we just got to get rid of conference championship games. That nobody cares about them. They're pointless, this, that, and the other. And it goes back to my thing, getting people that like, and shout out to Diana Rossini because she was on the clip too. So this must have been ESPN. It was on Get Out or Get Up. That's what it was. It was on Get Up. And I don't even know who the guy was, but he was like, we got to get rid of conference championship games. They're meaningless. They're pointless, yada, yada. And Diana Rossini, shout out to her, who's been covering college football for a long time, who is a fan of college football, said, tell Indiana fans that nobody cares about conference championships. Right? And she said Indiana, but I was thinking, like, tell Texas Tech fans that we don't care about conference championships. You know what the conference championship meant to us? You know what the conference championship meant to Arizona State last year? Right? Do you know what it meant to Baylor when they won it? What it meant to Oklahoma State when they won it? Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean conference championship games don't matter?
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. The second I heard that, I'm like, you don't like the sport.
You hate football. Move along.
And that's the thing is NFL is the most popular sports league in the country, there are 8 automatic qualifiers in the NFL. We saw a 7-9 Seattle Seahawks team make the playoffs because they were in the NFC West, in a bad NFC West, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh, man, that's fun and quirky. But now it's like, how dare Tulane make it? What the hell are we talking about? You know what I mean?
Let the people in New Orleans enjoy something, okay?
Oh, my God. It's just ridiculous. I think this whole thing is just stupid, talking about nobody cares about conference championships. What are you talking about? What? Like, that is Tulane doesn't care about conference championships? You don't think Duke fans, they're not even in the college football playoff. You think they don't care about a conference championship?
Duke fans probably still celebrating.
You know? Like, it's asinine. Absolutely asinine. Anyways, I care about a conference championship. You ain't gonna take that away from me. So,
that's right.
For the Big 12 champion, that is Jeremy Gillen. This is a Big 12 champion, I'll be sure. And you have been listening to the Tortillas and Takes podcast, a Big 12 championship podcast, mind you, part of the 10-12 network. As always, stay wrecked, people.